Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another gathering of souls here. And I hope you all had a good holiday and followed Yogananda's teaching of eat to live and not live to eat. So my name's Jake, and we'll be together here for about 45 minutes or an hour and have some fun. Today we're going to talk about intuition. And intuition is the ability to acquire knowledge without recourse to conscious reasoning or needing an explanation. That's how it's defined. When we start walking our spiritual path and start to tune into ourselves and our senses that are like Yogananda used to say, it's like searchlights. The senses are like searchlights, always going out, searching for stimulus. But as we learn to sit in quiet, either in prayer or in meditation, we begin to become aware of inner senses. We begin to realize that they're an exact reflection of the outer senses. We have an inner sight, an inner touch, inner hearing. But there's a sixth sense that we hopefully begin to experience, and that's intuition. And this sixth sense can be developed and expanded through meditation, through sitting in quiet. And intuition can help us with guiding our lives on a daily basis. It can help us in understanding certain situations, and it just is so helpful in navigating this crazy journey we're on in this life. Yogananda said, "Intuition is soul guidance, appearing naturally in us during those instants when our mind is calm." When I was reflecting on this service and trying to formulate an outline of what to talk about, I remembered when I think I was about 15. And across the street, there was this couple that had a couple of kids that were my brother's age and younger. My brother was 5 years younger than me. And she happened to work in my dad's office. He was an office manager for an oil company, and she worked in the office. And they were also, my parents and her husband were great friends with my parents. So they were really tight. And this one day they were all working, and all of a sudden the lady that lived across the street, she just stood up and went to my dad and said, "I've got to go. Something's wrong at home and I don't know what's going on." There was no cell phones then, but she had this intuitive feeling that something was happening. And so I think the office was maybe 15 minutes away. And in that drive, her younger son, or her son, who was my brother's age, discovered there was a fire in the house and was on the phone calling the fire department. He had the wherewithal to do that. And, she roared in and everything got under control and there wasn't much damage or anything. But I remember my parents sitting around the dinner table talking about how intuitive she was and how much intuition she had. And I really hadn't been exposed to that word before. And so I kind of remembered that whole instance when I was meditating on this service. The other thing that I remember, and I'm sure a lot of you remember, in the old cartoons that we used to watch on Saturday mornings, there would be these cartoons sometimes. Maybe it was Goofy or Donald Duck or Elmer Fudd or whatever, but they would have the exact image of the character, say it's Goofy, on one shoulder dressed with a pitchfork and horns, and on the other shoulder was same image but with angel wings and a halo. And these two images would talk to Goofy or Donald or whoever in the cartoon. And obviously one was leading that character the wrong way, and the other one was leading him the right way. And it's really similar to, developing intuition, because our minds, kick in and say, well, due to our reasoning or logic, we should do this. But intuition might be the exact opposite. Yogananda told a story once that he was hosting a fundraiser, and he was doing all the cooking and cleaning and everything it was quite a large group, I guess, that came, and he was working from morning to late at night. And when he finally got everything all cleaned up and put away, he went up to his room and sat down, and this voice said, "Man, you just really worked really hard. You should just go to bed, go to sleep." And he said it was kind of really sweet voice. And so he started to lay down, and then all of a sudden this inner voice, his intuition said, "Hey, wait a minute, you got to sit up and meditate." And so he sat up and started meditating, and he was up all night meditating in ecstasy. He was just totally full of divine spirit. We've talked about, and we've had classes on the situation that happens here on the planet with the yugas, the rise and fall of consciousness on this planet. And not to go into a whole lot of detail, but you're welcome to come to one of our classes on it. But there's segments in a 24,000 year cycle of conscious awareness. And there's a peak where everybody is totally, fully conscious of divine spirit and fully aware of all the earth and each other, and there's not even a need to talk to one another. There's just conscious flow of information back and forth. But then that starts, as time moves through the cycle, it starts descending and energy becomes grosser and grosser and grosser until, what we read about is the Dark Ages and the consciousness that existed then. And then we start swinging back around and start coming back up towards the end of the cycle, and the consciousness starts rising, and that's where we are now. We're in the very early innings of the consciousness on this planet starting to expand as we rise back up to the peak. But what happens through this transition, every cycle, is intuition. It can get diminished, and then it can start increasing. And so as we finally get to the final peak of fully conscious with the divine, intuition is just fully developed. There's no, character on one shoulder and one on the other. It's just fully in tune with the divine. Some of us were really lucky to be around when Norm was alive, the founder of Sunburst. And he really had a strong intuitive power in his daily decisions that he made in starting Sunburst and guiding it all the years through all the ups and downs. And I remember one story that I personally experienced with him, and we, some of us that were, and this is in the 70s, and there were some of us when we had several businesses in Santa Barbara and Los Angeles, and we had a really difficult decision we had to make. It was a big change that was happening in the company. And so I think there was 3 or 4 of us in a room. We were in there for hours trying to decide how to move forward and what the right decision was. And then with all of our reasoning and all of our mental power, we came up with what we felt was the right solution. So we called Norm just to tell him what was our decision and what was going on. And he said, well, yeah, that sounds pretty good, but I think you should do it this way. And it was the total opposite of the way we were going. And it turned out to be the perfect solution to the problem. And for me, it was a real lesson in intuition and listening to that inner voice. So to increase our intuition, because we're in this early innings of consciousness rising here on the planet, meditation is an incredible tool to help us develop the power of intuition. Yogananda said the goal of yoga science is to calm the mind, that without distortion it may hear the infallible counsel of the inner voice. So every time we go into a deep meditative place, we have the ability to tune ourselves into what is truth and what is error. And it's something that we almost have to experiment with, because, again, it might be, when you're in meditation, it might be a thought that's 180 degrees from what you thought should happen. But how do you know if it's not the right one unless you try it? And so it's really a trial and error kind of situation, because the mind is so strong in us. And going deep in meditation, we're able to distinguish the thoughts from the intuition. And it makes our life so much more interesting and fulfilling, because we're not just following our train of thoughts all the time. We're tuning into the inner voice. We've talked about how the divine spirit, the creator of everything, of this whole creation, is projecting images from the smallest of all places, deep within the creation. And these images are going out and flooding the creation every microsecond of time. It's constantly happening. And that energy of divine spirit that comes and descends through the crown of our heads is filled with truth. And as we meditate deeper and deeper and more consistently, we become so much more aware of that truth. And that's what happens in the progression of the yugas, because the crown just opens up wider and wider, and the consciousness of the planet rises higher and higher, because the truth is always coming through that smallest of all places. But it's our ability to understand it and comprehend it that changes as we move through these development of the consciousness on the planet. So why don't we sit together and meditate for 15 or 20 minutes or so, and if you have a meditation technique, you're welcome to use it, and if you don't have one, you can just sit and follow your breath and just calm your mind and pray and ask for divine guidance. Nicole will lead us into our quiet time with the bowls. I'm sure if we all reflect on our past experiences, we've all experienced following our intuition. And when I was reflecting on my life this week, I remembered one of the greatest experiences following my intuition was, it was 1969, and I was in the Army at the time in New Jersey, and I was a company clerk. And the beauty of it was I was off Saturday at noon, and I didn't have to be back to work until 6 a.m. Monday morning every weekend, which was really nice. And so I would always listen to the radio when I was typing up all the reports and everything that had to get sent off to Washington and everything. And they started talking about this concert that was going to happen in upstate New York called Woodstock. And it was going to be a 3-day event, and they started talking about all the different groups that were going to be there. And I sat there at my typewriter thinking, God, I wish I could go. You know, I think they expected like 20,000 people, 25,000 people or something like that. And you had to buy a ticket. They had fences up and gates that you had to walk through and everything. So I think it started like Wednesday. People started driving there from all over. And it was just a tsunami of people started showing up. The freeways were lined on the shoulders with cars parked. The grass medians on the freeways were packed with cars. People just abandoned their cars and started walking. Sometimes, 3, 4, or 5 miles to get to the concert. And I'm sitting there Friday, and it's pouring at Woodstock. I mean, it's just like you're hearing all these reports, and all of a sudden they say, it's a free concert, the fences are down. We can't keep all the people from knocking down the fences. And I was like, oh. And I just had this feeling I had to go. I just had to experience it. Logic be damned. And luckily I had a motorcycle, and I knew that I could get fairly close to the venue with that. So, but it was pouring rain, and for anybody that's ridden a motorcycle, that's not the best weather. But I got up Saturday morning, and it was just sprinkling. It wasn't like it was Friday. And I just said, I'm going. I'm just going to go. And so at 12:01, I was on my bike and went up to Queens and picked up my girlfriend at the time. And off we went. And I think it was an hour and a half or a couple hour drive from Queens. And I had to navigate through all the different log jams of cars and people and everything. And I got within a mile of the stage, and chained my bike to a tree, and we walked in the rest of the way, and got to experience something that I have a hard time putting into words. I mean, it was 400,000 people. There was no fighting. There was no arguing. The energy there was so calm and peaceful, and people were sharing food because there wasn't much, and it was just an amazing experience. And I'm so happy that I followed my intuition and made that journey. And it was amazing as we were leaving, because I had to be back. I had to leave on Sunday, and the concert wasn't really over yet. But all these young people were just standing there with signs, New Mexico, Canada, California, People came from all over, and it was just an amazing, amazing experience. We're so blessed that in the 1800s, Babaji, who, for those of you that don't know, has been nicknamed the Deathless Saint, been around for decades and centuries, appears from time to time, very evolved spiritual being, got the assignment to reawaken Kriya Yoga to the people, because in the Dark Ages, the yogis took the technique to the caves to keep it going and to just keep it alive, because the consciousness had descended into such a gross plane of existence. But it was time to reintroduce it, and there was this wonderful soul, Lahiri Mahasaya, who got the assignment, got initiated by Babaji to start teaching Kriya Yoga again to all those souls that desired to receive it. Lahiri said, solve all your problems through meditation. Attune yourself to the active inner guidance. The divine voice has the answer to every dilemma of life. Please follow me in prayer. Almighty Spirit, Mother, Father Divine, we give thanks unto Thee for this gift of life, for this wonderful opportunity to make this journey in this life to open up our inner senses and experience You in and around us, uniting all of creation in oneness. Teach us, O Lord, how to expand the power of intuition, that we might walk on this earth and really contribute to the spiritual evolution of the planet. Amen.
Seek Him in the morning, seek Him late at night. Seek Him in your meditations on His brilliant light. And when at last you find Him, never let Him go. His love, it is unending, it will grow and grow and grow.
Carry His love inside you like water from the well. It's precious and it's holy and it's not too hard to tell that when He comes upon you like a waterfall of light, if you live for Him in the daytime, He'll carry you away at night.
Seek Him in the morning, seek Him late at night. Seek Him in your meditations on His brilliant light. And when at last you find Him, never let Him go. His love, it is unending, it will grow and grow and grow. One that was with you before you had a name. His love, it is unchanging, it will always be the same. He's always been your lover, you know, He's always been your friend. He was with you in the beginning, and He'll be with you in the end. Seek Him in the morning, seek Him late at night. Seek Him in your meditations on His brilliant light. When at last you find Him, never let Him go. His love, it is unending, it will grow and grow and grow. How much do you love Him? How much do you care? To find Him and to know Him, nothing can compare. Give yourself unto Him, give your life away. You'll find it all returning like the sun that grows brighter every day. Seek Him in the morning, seek Him late at night. Seek Him in your meditations on His brilliant light. When at last you find Him, never let Him go. His love, it is unending, it will grow and grow and grow. And when at last you find Him, never let Him go.